Hey, good evening, friends. Barb Pask in Ohio, back to paint for you once again. This is an 8x10 Centurion panel. I did not prime it this time. Don't think I'm going to. No reason. Just didn't get it done. Always up for something different. I had a friend that lives here close post a photo today on Facebook, and he gave me permission to use it. It's different for me, and I wanted to try it for that reason. Plus, you know, we're right around the corner from plein air season, and I might get the opportunity to paint a scene like this. I just thought it would be good practice. I'll show you the photo. Might be a little, maybe I'd be better to bring it over here, and probably a little difficult for you to see. All right, we'll bring it over here. I've downloaded it to my iPad. Isn't that lovely? Here's the things that really drew me. See the distant hill? I like that. Got the white water back there to hopefully draw your eye back, those elements. And I like the green of the water, and then the reflection of the blue, and even the shadows down in the water. Isn't that beautiful? So we shall see how it goes. You know, it may be a total flop, but I think, you know, it would be good practice for me. I think it's really good to push yourself and try things that aren't in your comfort zone. Now, I could grid this off, I could grid off the photo. There's a lot of ways I could go at this, but I will probably just hold my brush out and see where things hit. That is approximately the format's very close. Now that center, that distant hill is not dead center, which is good. It's more over here. I wouldn't, if it were dead center, I would move it. So we'll kind of be loose and fun with the sketch, and thought that was really kind of him to let me play with it, right? Now where the very light area, that is pretty much halfway, shadowed area and the light area meet on the bank. That is pretty much right there. Maybe we'll push it back just a little bit. And the water and the bank are not dead center either. It's more over to here, which is good. And I like, just a lot of things I liked about it. I like the shadow effects. I like the dark that I see in the bank. Like I said, we got this very light water back in there. So we'll play around a while, try to get the darks that I see in before we do anything else. I said there's a tree line back here, and then above that is this kind of purpley hill, which should be pretty, right? This should be an occasion where I'm using that great big gesso brush I talk about trying, right? And I never use. This would be a good one for it. Craig Nelson uses that thing a lot on landscapes. You can cover a lot of ground with it, that's for sure. And then I want to keep this beautiful area here where the sky reflections are. And there's probably lots of ways to handle this, you know. You want to work large to small. Block mass in those shapes and work down to smaller shapes. I've got some brighter greens over here, which are very nice. And then we've got some trees that run clear up and off. So layers of things going on, which I think make it nice. Now, is that the prettiest shape? Like I said, there's some shadows going on over here and across the water. I don't want that going straight down, so we may pull that over. And this area over here is probably the reflection of that. It's a bit darker, still in the green family. And like I said, we've got this blue. And then back in here, like I said, we've got very light water. So maybe that's enough to get us started. This is one you could probably work on for a very long time and keep developing it and developing it. So, you know, I don't know how finished we'll get it tonight, but one color I don't have out that I do want to put out is Indian Yellow, because I really like Indian Yellow with ultramarine. It makes a dark, transparent green. Ordered some frames today through Amazon. They look really beautiful, I'll let you know. I got invited to do a flower show in April. So I hadn't bought any frames really in a long time. Yeah, down in here is where it's darkest. Which makes sense, right? It's actually quite a bit lighter from here up. I think I'm maybe going to put a little white in it. It seems to be, this would be a good one to mix yourself up a pile of orange, probably to pull into. It seems to pull more that way. And I think he just took this today, so this is, you know, really winter time yet. And actually I see some foliage over here, which might be pine tree. Yeah, it's more that color, you know, kind of. And the trees there in the distance, I want them to recede, so. I see this year the Plein Air Convention is, a lot of times it's in California. This year it's in North Carolina, so much closer. If you're an artist, are you going? I don't plan to go. Might be fun. They talk about, you know, learning from all these artists. You know, you can't be everywhere at once, though. Now, you know, this is a case I could zoom in and really see what's back there, but I don't want to really. It's darker than the sky, but it's kind of blue. Not that it couldn't be just anything I wanted it to be. And that actually, I don't know, that might feel too dark. But again, till everything's in here, how will we know, right? Till the sky color is in, and so we may be going over. I'm going to lighten it up a little bit. Till it's all down, we won't know for sure. I'm thinking we'll go ahead and block in the sky. It's a beautiful kind of warm blue, so we'll try some cobalt and white. But you know, this, you could use this photograph a multitude of ways. You could make it like a sunrise, you know, or a sunset. You could do the sky more orange and pull some of that orange in the water. I mean, this could just be the bones for whatever you wanted, if you're creative. And so this is basically cobalt and white. I'm already missing my tone. I usually have some color down there. I'll be going over everything probably again, but like I say, some people do a sky that's really more ultramarine. This is my plein air easel. I brought it in again. It seems to I mean, I'm pushing on it pretty hard, just trying to get blocked in, so. Oh, I'll show you the still life from last time. If you watched my last video, you saw me, I called it a start, I think. Let me grab it and I'll show you where it's at. I decided I did not like the apple that was like half green and half red, so I turned it into a green apple. And I painted the background, which wasn't done, and I worked on this jar a lot more. I did not have that shape correct. So I spent some time and really looked at like where the sides met the top. Kind of like it, I think. I got the blackberries in there. I'm really liking them green apples lately. And I'm painting this on pretty thin. Typical skies tend to lighten as they go toward the horizon and sometimes warm up, and this one does. We're going to want a real soft edge division between those two things. Like I said, right now we're mostly about getting the canvas covered, so I mean, I am thinking values and color, but you can see how this is going to have another coat. Not that you couldn't really lay it on and it'd be finished. You could, you know. And this is not a very big brush. I definitely could be using a bigger brush. Shape of this is... All right, let's just keep moving. This value and this value is similar. They're both kind of got an orangey kind of look to them. But again, there is some foliage in there that is more green. And I don't know why this time of the year, but I'm sure that looks pretty bad at this point. You could, you know, You could use, this is more a bristle brush, you could use a softer brush. You know, that would blend better. And, oops, and on camera, you know, if the brush strokes aren't pulled down, they catch a lot of light, so. I mean, it'd be nice if everything was beautiful as you went along and felt finished, right? There are some people that do portraits that way. I've seen it where they start from an eye. Maybe you've seen those and kind of work the whole face. Amazing. And they're basically kind of finished as they go. Made an orange, and I'm gonna lighten that up. I feel like that's kind of what I'm seeing over here. I'm going to put a little more yellow in it as I get up into the foreground. Yeah, there's all kinds of things going on. I'm going to kind of mass it in as a whole, and then I'll come back and worry about shadows and all that stuff. Get some color on it. Back in here, like I said, this is where it's ripples and stuff, I guess. But I mean, you can layer and layer and layer these trees, just keep coming back and adding more and more color. And sticking with this big brush. Not sure where this water would have to kind of go off to probably back behind that way. Wouldn't you imagine? I'm still using the same dirty brush. All right, let's make a green. I think I'm going to put a little solvent in it, so maybe it'll move a little bit better. I have done a lot of landscapes. It's usually not what draws me in when I'm out painting. But if you're doing reflections, reflections go down, always down. And water, you go across with the water. You know, I do know things about it. It's just not something. We're all different. You know, I go paint with people where a lot of them always doing landscapes. They want fields and trees, and you know me, if there's a building in sunlight, that's where Barb is. So we're all different. Even doing a still life, you know, you get a group of people doing the same still life and we all handle it different. So it's what makes it fun, right? Makes the world go round. All right, so block and block. And now as I move out into here, this is lighter and more yellow. Sorry you can't see me mix. I mean, don't know how in the world we would do that. Guess if I had a cameraman, right? There's a gal I watch over in, maybe she's in the UK, and her husband films for her. I try not to bother mine much. He does a lot for me. He's carried a lot of art around in his life, you know, so I try not to bother him. This is going to be sky reflection. I even kind of see it back in there. All right, we get paint everywhere. Ta-da! That's an accomplishment on its own, just the blocking, I think. All right, let's start reevaluating stuff now. I could switch to that, and I think I may switch to that brush. It's a bit softer. I think I might get nicer strokes. So let's start again with the sky. Get a little solvent. Like I said, this brush is a little softer. I'm getting better coverage. I may have to touch this up again too. See, it makes a little mark when you, understandably, it's holding your canvas, so. lot of times people will talk about the sky even changing from left to right, not just up and down. I've heard people talk about, of course it does, it can do so many things, but there's no clouds in this sky, but there could be. I went a bit more pink down there. And now some of that's in my brush, so it's pulling everything a little more purple. There's no wrong or right sky. I mean, you get out there and look and you'll see that. Sometimes they're yellow and, you know. I just thought the addition of that might be pretty in the horizon. Oh, I completely lost my hill there in the distance. I think I want it, you know, maybe, maybe not. You know, hopefully it adds another element of something going on back there. Like I said, there's not a lot of color to these trees. This is introducing these darks again. And it's always, not always, but often dark here at the edge where, like down here, we've got a lot of nice darks we'll put in. I don't know if y'all follow Paula Deen. I follow her on Facebook, and she comes on live once in a while and does giveaways and stuff. She's only 77, but they say she's not sick, but she looks really kind of bad. I don't know what's going on with her. It's a shame. I know she lost a lot of weight, but she really doesn't look well. Check her out if you... When I went to Savannah with my daughter, you know, last year, we went to the Paula Deen restaurant, and they have a life-size thing of her there in the lobby, and I got right up next to her and posed with her. My daughter took my picture. I've had people tell me I look like her. I think it's the white hair and I don't know, the smile. I hope I don't look like her now. Much softer brush. Going back to an orange again, putting some white in it. computer's going to sleep there. Reach over and touch it. It's going down and away. Cutting into this here and there, kind of make some sky holes. And you could, like I say, you could introduce some lovely clouds into there. And then, like I said, there's a lot of tree limbs, and we'll see how far we get here. Let's keep moving forward here. And, you know, it's a fairly big brush we're using too. You know, and in the end, it doesn't matter if it ends up feeling like fall or spring. I mean, does it really matter in the end? Maybe, you know, your goal is to reproduce it exactly. So yeah, maybe it does, but you know, it's obviously spring, but I see these kind of rusty colors there, so that's what I'm trying to paint. And I do see some greens here, so we put some green in there. I'm probably going to get out my sword, my brush, the one I like for painting tree trunks. I've showed it to you before. Let's see if I can find it without a lot of trouble. I carry a lot of brushes in my bag. Of course, where's it going to be? At the bottom, right? Of course, right? They say the last place you look. Of course, that makes sense. That's the last place you look. I got it. All right, this is by Rosemary and Company. It's called a sword. It's a weird kind of splayed brush. But what's fun about it is if you paint tree trunks and foliage and limbs and stuff with it, you don't have a lot of control. So, but it's really too soon, so let's wait on that. But we'll use that for lots of stuff when we get to that point. But try not to jump ahead of myself here, right? Like I said, if I'm considering these reflections, which maybe they are and maybe they're not, it's definitely darker over in this area. You know, you can leave them that way. You can cut across them a little bit if you want. And then this gets more. Now, if they were reflections, they would be following that line more like that, though, wouldn't they? Yeah, this is more yellow-green out in here. And we've got shadows to go across here too. I wish I'd have toned it. I always wish I'd tone it when I didn't. Because I'd have some color in the places, you know, everywhere. Any place that I didn't. Let's try a little, I got a little old phthalo blue on here. I'm gonna get into a little bit of that. It's just such a pretty color. All right, let's hit this again. Going a little thicker up in here. Not going too light, but I kind of want you looking through that, so. All right, so everything's got pretty much a second coat on it now, right? Let's play around with our sword. I'm going ultramarine and transparent red oxide. And we'll just see what we can do here. Okay, this is a shadow here, and there are a couple of trees that begin here. We might have to move our hook. It's a fun brush. I like it. See, we got like a double it just splays out, and it just, you're not going to control it. So someplace there's a little video here on, I showed it on, kind of painting a tree. Back in here, there's one that goes up and off too. You know, you're going to do whatever feels right to you, right? Doesn't have to be exactly what I see there. Over on this side, these little limbs kind of run up and out. I don't know if I want them to. I'll think about it. You know, and you even go down on the edge here probably and use it for whatever. I mean, rocks or I'm going to get some different color on here and use it for down in the water where we've got shadows. Let's get a little more. Yeah, it's pretty dark. I guess the shadows are coming from the tree and then down into the water. Now I'm going to get a smaller brush and not a liner brush, but I want to, you know, thicken some of this stuff. I have no idea what I got going on right there. But it would go across and follow the bank and go down. See some lighter colors in there. Let me get back from this. I haven't really gotten back like I should. You should get back pretty often. Okay, now that I'm getting back, see, I'm not loving this shape. pull it out a little bit. You remember that painting I did a while back, maybe where I put the rocks under the water? See, you could have done that here. You could have, you know, suggested a bunch of rocks. Do you remember me doing that? I kind of used this idea this guy did. He had paper towel and everything. He suggested the rocks, remember? And then he introduced the sky over it. So we might try some of that. We live in Ohio, and they had a show on last night. It was really interesting. I watched about, there were two little girls that disappeared over in Indiana. They were hiking. It was in February. It's been like, gosh, it's been like 8 years. Little, like 14-year-old girls. They have yet to really charge anybody with that. One guy they arrested. They thought he looked guilty, but they charged him with something else and ended up putting him in jail, and he died. But they talked about early in the show, like there was DNA and stuff. I mean, with DNA, I don't understand why they, you know, there's another man that's on trial right now for it. Plus there was another man they didn't have enough evidence. I don't know, it's really screwed up. The town has just attacked the heck out of each other because of it, and it's really sad. The poor family doesn't have any closure. Drive you crazy, wouldn't it? There's just a bunch of mumble jumble, bunch of who knows what up here in the foreground, you know. I'm just skipping back and forth, you know, where I feel like I need a light or I need a dark, or what I try to suggest back here is that the water goes off that way. Has to go someplace, right? Okay, let me get back so I don't. you could zoom in and look for all the little tiny things going on here, if it mattered to you. I know if I was on location, it would be done pretty quick, and I would be just probably suggesting things. Put a little light in there. This is still pretty thinly painted here. Like I said, I could have suggested rocks. Depends on, you know, how much do you want going on. I'm really wanting to pull your eye back in there. So let me get that softer brush again. Actually, now that I'm looking at it, I actually think I'm going to try to maybe darken up this foreground a little bit. Is that what I see? No, but that's okay. Like I say, it's kind of yellowy and I did a painting at a paint out this summer, and it won first place, and I sold it, and it was a pond in this development, and it had a fountain, and I could see the ripples going around the fountain, and I was just trying to paint what I saw, and I think that's what made it interesting, actually. You know, the ripples around the pond. This made me think of it here, these kind of ripply things going out. I do kind of see that over there in the picture. All right, how long we been at this? About 55 minutes. Again, I could zoom in, I could just play and play and play with this, let's face it. Let's get you in front of it. I'm going to thin out some of this foliage. I'm not sure I can do it right now with this brush, but that to me feels a little heavy-handed up there. You know, consider it's on the end of a limb. these tree trunks. I might make them thicker. They're not very thick in the photo, but I do want them to feel like tree trunks, so just seeing little things. And this may not be the best brush for this. So, again, it's one of these that we could just keep messing with. I like the light I got over here. It pulls you down. I don't know that that quite feels like a, you don't really have to know what it is, do you? It could be another row of trees that are very cool. So, might develop this shadow a little more because I really like it in the photo. So, it's one of the things I liked. All right, it has some good things about it, some things that probably could use a little work. I don't know if that quite feels like water. I mean, maybe, you know, maybe it needs a little shadowing to feel that way. All right, always challenging myself if I can. So, again, not a scene that I would paint very often. I did introduce some phthalo into here, and it's not into there. Maybe I need to put some of that in the sky too, maybe. Something to think about. They're never perfect, are they? All right. Thanks for joining me. This was a fun challenge. Like I said, I really liked the photo, and I'll go to looking at it now and see what I think I need to change. Maybe nothing. Might leave it alone. Might wipe it off. You never know. All right. Thanks for joining me, and you have a wonderful evening. Bye-bye.